everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
Hello guys, I'm making this video because I wanted to bring in awareness to Gethsemane Cemetery. If you guys was on my live last night, then you understand what I'm talking about. My father was buried at Gethsemane Cemetery, and when we basically went to go visit him, we ended up finding that he had 6 other bodies in his grave. When we found out he had 6 other bodies in his grave, they didn't try to figure out like if one of them was him. They didn't try to figure out like who was the people, where did they come from, how do we go about it. Like, they didn't tell us anything. They basically kissed us from the cemetery. We were on the news, and if you watch the news video, if you go to Channel 4 News, type in Gethsemane Cemetery, you will see me, my mom, my sister on the news. If you look at the news, it will show y'all them trying to kick us out because we basically want justice. They literally kicked us out of the cemetery because we wanted justice. Okay, so we ended up finding out about the cemetery and everything is because when we used to go to my dad's grave, a lady would leave mother's cards, Mother Day cards, all type of stuff for her mom on my dad's grave. We ended up finding out it was a double grave and not a single grave. First era, wasn't supposed to be a double grave. So my mom like, okay, it's only one other person in there, so she's not really mad, but she's pissed at this time because that's not what my dad wanted. As shit start to go by, we look on the news, the lady, same lady, is on the news with her mother digging up her mother grave. And she found 6 bodies in the grave. So we're not really thinking of shit till we go to the grave site and see his whole grave was digged up. All they tags that you before they put the gravestone on, all the tags was literally in a pile, just in a pile. And then his headstone still ain't get there. So they still ain't give him a headstone, still ain't do nothing. Mind you, we don't even know where he is at this point. And they're trying to cover it up. Like, literally trying to cover it up. They keep, the city of Detroit basically telling us that we can't do nothing about it. The state of Michigan told us that we got to shut up about it. They're trying to hush us up about it. Every time, like, I made an Instagram before and I posted it before. It did get a lot of recognition. We even protested. They deleted my page. Literally deleted my page. So fuck what they talk about. This is not about to just die down. We're not just about to let this die down and y'all keep burying people in this cemetery. They've already arrested the man. They already arrested the man who owned it. They already literally went through his background and went to trial and seen that he wasn't supposed to operate no cemetery, that the state of Michigan allowed him to continue to operate knowing that he was not supposed to operate any fucking cemetery. So we need justice. We need justice now. We don't need it's been 6 years. We don't need justice yesterday. We don't need justice tomorrow. We need justice right now.
To our latest big investigation that Karen Drew has been working on, families have come to her and said Gethsemane Cemetery on Detroit's east side not only took their money, they did some pretty terrible things. They buried their loved ones together with people that they didn't know. They lost their loved ones' bodies or their headstones. Take a look at the first part of her investigation, and then she's going to join me.
We need justice. The dead do matter.
Michelle DeBerry and her daughter say they're sick with grief.
He's supposed to be here. He's supposed to be buried in here.
Michelle's husband, Elvis DeBerry, died more than 3 years ago.
Now there's no trace of him at all.
Yes, just disappeared. Please, I want him to rest in peace. That man did so much for us. And I want the cemetery to own up to what y'all did wrong.
When our Local 4 investigative team showed up with her family recently to help find him, the cemetery kicked us out.
City-owned property.
Yeah, the city don't want y'all on the ground.
The City of Detroit's General Services Department, located inside this building, oversees Gethsemane Cemetery. We asked for an interview. No one was willing to talk on camera. Instead, they asked for a list of questions they would address at a later date. I'll get to that in a moment, but first I'll tell you, the families, they had plenty to say to us.
Mothers, fathers, grandparents, and children all buried at Gethsemane Cemetery. Their families spoke with our Local 4 investigative team, and all 25 families said they weren't sure their loved ones were actually buried where the cemetery said they were. A mother told us her son's grave was one place, his headstone was moved somewhere else. Another woman said her grandparents' headstones had been moved multiple times. And a man whose parents were buried at Gethsemane decades ago said their grave sites just vanished.
Almost all of the 25 families we spoke to told us there was one specific thing the cemetery would not let them do: watch as they bury their loved one.
So you don't see them actually putting your loved one in the ground.
It struck Shelley Calvert as strange that Gethsemane Cemetery wouldn't let her family watch as her mother was buried.
Did they say why?
That's just not their policy.
And weeks later, when Shelley went to the cemetery to visit her mom's gravesite, what she saw horrified her.
I took pictures.
A huge expanse of freshly dug up dirt, broken pieces of headstones, and grave markers just carelessly lying in the dirt. Grave markers are metal spikes cemeteries put in the ground when a body is buried to identify exactly who is buried and where. Shelley found them like this. She couldn't find her mother's grave marker.
And I had a really bad panic attack that day.
After complaining to cemetery management, Shelley says the next time she visited, her mother's grave marker had reappeared, but in a different place from where it was originally.
We've had hundreds of telephone calls.
A few years ago, attorney Mark Rossman started hearing about all the problems at Gethsemane Cemetery.
Bodies that couldn't be located from time to time.
Rossman filed a class action lawsuit in 2021 against the city of Detroit, which owns the cemetery, and several cemetery management companies the city contracted with over the years. Rossman got a close-up look at how the cemetery was managed.
We found that it was a complete disaster. There were outdated maps, outdated files.
Immediately after his class action lawsuit was filed in court, several of the city's cemetery management companies declared bankruptcy, which got them off the hook. And then a Wayne County judge, Sheila Gibson, gave the city immunity. So Gethsemane families can't sue the city. And again, the city owns the cemetery.
No problem with taking our money. And then you don't want to take accountability and responsibility for the actions that were done. That's not fair to us and our family members. And it's definitely not fair to my mother.
There's a lot of neglect in that whole situation. That's technically, I wouldn't say it's on the city for all the neglect that happened. Everything that happened on that on that cemetery, that's human error. You know what I'm saying? Those people who were put in charge to run that cemetery really fumbled that bag. They really messed that up. They messed that up for a lot of people and their loved ones. And that's just like, it's just like when you get people who go work a job and they really don't care about their job. They're just there from 9 to 5. That's what you get. Like if you got a person who goes to be a nurse, but they don't really like the job, they just like the money. That's what you get. You got people who like the money, they don't like the job. They don't like to dig up dead bodies. They don't like to deal with grieving families. They don't like to deal with families upset about where their family members buried, or if it's in a double grave or this and that. They don't care. They really don't care. So, it's not, I'm not saying it's not the city don't hold no accountability. I'm just saying it's the people who work in there, they really don't care. So they're just city workers. Like, nigga, city workers don't care. Like, they really don't care. For real. Like, if you got a dog and your water meter or your water meter is in your backyard and you got a dog and you don't got a beware of dog sign, your dog gone. You're like, dog gone. Look at that ass. That dog is gone. They don't care. They'll get your dog up out of there just so they can do their job, because they don't care about your dog. They don't care how much you paid. They don't care if you took your dog to boarding school. They don't give a damn. Dog back there, dog gone. They got to get to that water meter.
I already had a lawyer, guys. That's not the problem. The problem is lawyers are scary. Some lawyers are not willing to go against the state of fucking Michigan and the city of Detroit. They're not willing to do that. So that's why we're trying to bring awareness, so we can have somebody that's willing to say, oh, I'm not scared to get down to the bottom of this. I'm not scared to make y'all be held for all y'all actions and to be held accountable. I'm not scared to get justice. My daddy not the only one. My dad not the only one. It's multiple families that have not gotten no answers. Nothing. But we just still sitting here. My mom had to bury her dad and her sister in the last 5 years. And I mean nothing. She can't go to her husband's grave and tell him what she's going through. She can't sit there and call on her husband because we don't even know where her husband is. So my mom is dealing with all of this on top of everything. Something needs to be done. It really needs to be done. We're not going to keep telling you, oh, we need justice. We're not going to keep. We're going to get it, and that's it. Any lawyer that's willing to take the case and show them what it is, please text me.